Local businessman Evarista Jamari says the partial shutting down and reopening of the internal economy is being done arbitrarily. He says to this day, the government has not explained to the public the hows, whys and whens there will be change in the operation of the economy as it relates to fighting of COVID-19. He says a better war action plan against the virus must be put in place.
The government of St. Lucia has been heavily scrutinized by members of the public on the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Against the backdrop of another partial shutdown, implementation of a curfew, state of emergency, and the subsequent reopening of the economy, local businessman Evarista Jamari has critiqued the government. Jamari says there seems to be no set guidelines or rationale for the measures implemented by the authorities.
The lack of clear guidance as to in terms of the decision making. These decisions look very arbitrary. And I think it's about, we've been in that almost a year now. Government should have clear signposts, guidelines as to what is going to trigger certain decisions. And until you do that, I don't get a sense you're on top of it. And a lot of it seems to be reactionary, as I've said before. If pressure is brought to bear, then they give in, as opposed to looking at the science and say, look, if we have that number of cases, the positive rate is at a certain percentage level, then we could change policy. But this idea of just ever so often just coming up and changing policy without a rationale for doing it is very disconcerting. It creates a lot of uncertainty and it almost looks arbitrary.
He says he is of the belief that the powers that be are not driven by science. He says, to make matters worse, there seems to be no consideration for the individuals who are affected most by the decisions taken.
When a lot of these little sectors have been affected and feel like no assistance is coming their way, you have to think of the mindset of the government. And any government that is socially conscious would recognize the need of those people and find some mechanism to assist them. But clearly their minds are not there. And like I said, this road program that's going on there, it's very a slap in the face to people who can't find food to put on their table. It just doesn't make sense. It's a bad priority. And the government should really sit back and rethink that. And I know, if you want to retain political power, the best way of doing that is to serve the needs of the people. And I don't see how that could serve the wider needs of the people in a pandemic when so many people are struggling to stay alive.
Jamari has, however, urged the government to revisit the drawing board with their COVID-19 handling strategies to ensure they are more inclusive of the individuals in the lower class. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
After much clamoring for and anticipation, convenience store SNS The Price Busters was allowed to open effective Wednesday after a NEMAC meeting on Tuesday. Hot 7's Genevieve Gonzague was on the ground to catch a glimpse of the morning rush to the store.
Our team was on the ground for the reopening of convenience store SNS after nearly a month of closure. Our crew caught up with individuals as they went in and out of the stores to purchase supplies which they said are essential to their well-being. During our observation of the store early Wednesday morning, one thing was clear. The expectation of a frenzy and large gatherings outside the store was too high, as there seemed to be no huge rush to get into the store. Our team spoke to a few patrons who expressed sheer elation at the convenience store being reopened.
SNS it plays a very important, intriguing part in this community, in this society. And yes, I'm grateful for the fact that they have been able to open so everybody can come in and do what they have to do. I'm grateful for that. I believe it was an essential service for the community. When SNS was locked down, most people suffered from that. As we say, the Malawi were not able to get in there to do what they have to do. But thank God they are open, that everybody can have free access to go and get what they want to get.
Shasni should have done that a long time. Watch how people inside of there. People been waiting for that. You understand? Because people have a lot of things they need at SNS. So, thank you, PM, for opening SNS for the poor people.
Lots of people have been asking for SNS to open because the whole nation has been suffering since SNS closed. As you can see, so many people have been going in from after 7 SNS is there, and you find that there are things that people need and they would get it at SNS for a better price. So all they have to do is just allow SNS to stay open, and what we as St. Lucians to do, we just need to follow the protocols and things will go as planned.
The closure of the store had sparked lots of conversation as to whether the store should have been placed on the essential businesses list. At one point during the temporary closure of the business, members of the public started a petition to have the store taken off as a non-essential business. Following Tuesday's NIMAC meeting, the government of St. Lucia informed the nation that smaller businesses could resume operation, but would have to be guided by strict COVID-19 prevention regulations. Reporting from SNS on Miko Street, Castries for Hot 7 TV, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Small business owners continue to lament the effects that the partial shutdown had on their businesses. Hot 7 spoke with two business owners who say they are relieved that they can once again ply their trades and make a dollar.
Effective Wednesday 17th, all commercial business enterprises were granted permission to operate within established protocols. For the last 3 weeks, clothing stores and any other store which was not listed as an essential service had to close up shop. On the first day of operations after the announcement to reopen was made, Hot 7 spoke with the owner of a speculator store, Sophia Modest, who says the last few weeks have been wrought with worry over her financial obligations.
It's hard for me because right now is to pay my rents. I want to know we're not open, sorry. And then I want to know how we're going to pay the rent. The Prime Minister talked to us because even Barbados giving the little vendors a little change by the road. So we need something to pay the rent too because your business open and our business was closed. Yes, it's Corona, but how's your business open and the small business closed? We need something to pay our rent.
The manager of Voyager, another small business within the city, Manish Matani, expressed that one of his greatest concerns during the temporary shutdown was the well-being of staff. He says the circumstances being lived through are very difficult for many.
It's really amazing how much even the customers missed us. They keep on telling us we are as essential as so many other businesses that were open during the shutdown. And I must agree, I mean, there are customers who told me they couldn't find a broom or a mop and it was sad. They couldn't clean their homes for over a week. So it's really, really great that we can be open again. You still have to eat, you still have to live somewhere. And you know, these things come at a cost. And when you don't have your business open to cover those costs, it's very difficult for us, for the staff, for everybody. It's something that we have to adjust to, but adjustment isn't easy. And when everybody is facing this and there's no freedom to do other things, it's difficult to cope.
The business owners have urged members of the public to play their part in ensuring that the spread of the COVID-19 virus is mitigated in an effort to protect the livelihoods of all. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Barbershops and hair salons have also been added to the list of businesses which can operate under the stipulations recommended by the government of St. Lucia. Barbers as well as their customers say they are relieved that this service is finally being offered again. However, they lament the blow that being closed for so long has dealt to their pockets.
Barbershops too were given the green light to recommence business effective Wednesday 17th. Hot 7 visited a few stores and spoke with barbers after nearly a month of them being closed. Barber Rodney Brown expressed that he continues to worry as there is still uncertainty as to what next to expect.
Well, closing down for such a long time did really affect me and my business because I was wondering, how am I going to pay? I'm still wondering, how am I going to pay my rent month end? I still have kids that I have to take care of and other bills that I have to take care of. And so I was even looking into the fact that having a small business, we contract small amount of people. It will be like 6 or 7 people in one place sometime, the most, as a small business operator. And so if you close down the small business to stop Corona, then what's the sense in opening the bigger business?
Another barber, Raphael Damon, explained that the shutdown was the straw that broke the camel's back as barbers were already not making much money.
We depend on the customers to groom and prepare them for the hotel industry, etc. So in that the hotel closed, it affects us in a big way. And then the shutdown had some more pressure to the whole situation. And you know exactly our income depends on every client. And if the client's out of job, it's hard on us. And then the shutdown, you have your bills.
Our team spoke with patrons getting groomed who all expressed that they believe the barbering service is essential.
Because of my work, I had to try my best. I had to put a wave cap and a hat, so I had to try to look as professional as possible. But even now, I feel I look good. So, you know, having a lot of these services keeps us up to our professional standard and makes us look as better individual to approach. Even in the protection of our face mask and everything, even though you have the face mask, you still have to make yourself look good.
I was quite happy when they said that, when they announced that the barbers, the other stores will be opening. Because it is essential. We have to look good at all times. Actually, I work in the government sector and I deal with customers every day and I like to look good. Now, even if I have to go to the barber to cut their hair, I have to look good. That's me. So it is an essential service.
Reporting from a barber's chair for Hot 7 TV, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us, we have more after the break.